Hey everyone, I am back with another holiday card created with our Poinsettia close-up. I'm going to be doing some watercoloring. So I prepped an A2 size watercolor panel. I'm using Canson XL 140 pound watercolor paper. It's the one with the blue cover and it comes in a pad. And I believe I have the 9 by 12 size, and I just cut them all down to A2 size panels. After I prepped my watercolor panel with some anti-static powder tool, I just heat embossed the Poinsettia close-up with some silver embossing powder. Next, I'm going to get ready to watercolor. I'll be using my Ken Oliver color burst, but I'm only using two colors today. I'll be using my Prussian blue and indigo color burst, and these are two really beautiful dark but vibrant shades of blue that's part of the Ken Oliver color burst collection. I started off by wetting the area that I want to paint with some clean water first, and I'm using my Pentel Aqua brushes. I'm using two fine tip brushes, but if you have paint brushes, you can use that also, as long as you just have some clean water near you. So when you're prepping your panel with clean water before dropping in any pigment, if you're using this technique, you want to make sure that you wet the paper just enough so that it's saturated, but you don't really want to see water drops kind of rolling off the panel. That's when you've added too much water. So you just want to wet it just enough where it's wet and where it will allow the pigment to actually move, but you don't want puddles on your panel. If you've already gone ahead and added too much water, all you need to do is take a clean piece of paper towel and just dab up that excess water. So I'm just dropping in bits of Prussian blue color burst, and I'm adding more pigment to where the edges of my petals are. So as you can see, there are petals kind of in the front of the flower, and then there are the larger petals behind those smaller flowers. So I want to make sure that I get my shading right, and I add more pigment to make the areas darker where the curves are right behind the smaller petals. And this way I get some really great depth in this one layer card. When I first started painting this poinsettia, I was only going to use my Prussian blue. I wasn't going to add that second layer of the indigo blue, but I decided kind of midway that I wanted to add a second color to my project. So that's why I added the Prussian blue first onto the entire poinsettia, and then I kind of went back and I reworked the areas that I wanted to add the indigo blue. So the way I did that was after the Prussian blue layer dried, I kind of re-wet the areas with clean water just a little bit, and then I started adding bits of indigo just in kind of random areas, and I blended a little bit of the indigo blue in with the Prussian blue, and this way I get a really beautiful two-tone poinsettia. As I'm blending in my Prussian blue and indigo color bursts, you want to make sure that you leave a little bit of the light or white areas on the panel. You don't want to cover the entire petals with the paint if you want to add just a little bit more interest. So as you can see, I leave some light areas unpainted on my actual panel, and this way you're going to get some really great interest and depth and dimension into your project. I encourage you to experiment with this technique with different colors, or even just adding both shades at the same time. So instead of going in with the Prussian blue and then letting that dry and then adding the indigo blue, I encourage you to try maybe adding the Prussian blue and then the indigo blue right away, and you may get a really nice result that way also. After I finished painting, I set the panel aside to completely dry, and then I took our holiday word dies and I die cut this gorgeous font onto our silver glitter adhesive paper. When you're using our adhesive papers with word dies, I suggest that you run it through your die cutting machine several times, about 3 or 4 times, to make sure you get a really clean cut. And you may need to use an X-Acto knife to try to pop those letters out from the negative piece, but you get this really gorgeous holiday word die cut that you can just kind of peel off the protective backing and just stick onto your project. So it makes it really, really easy when you're die cutting these words using our adhesive papers. So once I finish adhering my word die cuts onto my project, I just cut 2 additional pieces of silver glitter strips from our silver foil adhesive paper, and then I adhered them onto the right and left edges of a side folding A2 card base. Then I cut additional strips of our really strong double-sided adhesive. These come in sheets and they come in a pack, and they're very, very strong adhesive that you can use for adhering those heavier watercolor panels onto your base. So I just adhered the strips behind my watercolored panel, and then I adhered the panel onto my card base. For the final step of my project, I just embellished this panel using our clear dewdrops in our 7 and 5mm sizes. So the card is now complete. I hope you enjoyed today's project and video, and I hope I provided you with some inspiration using our poinsettia close-up to make your holiday cards this season. Thanks for watching, guys. I will see you next time.